Hi everyone. Hi, we are starting soon. Thank you so much. A very good afternoon to our Singapore companies and a good morning to our friends from Israel who are joining us online today. A warm welcome to today's collaboration opportunities with Israeli Cyber Innovation, jointly organized by SGTech Cybersecurity Chapter and Israeli Trade Mission in Singapore. My name is Jazari, and I will be your MC for the day. For today's program, we have lined up a panel of notable guest speakers to share with us the overview of Israel's cyber landscape and its marketplace activities, as well as available funding resources which Singapore companies can tap on for joint innovation projects with Israeli companies. 5 out of 10 Israeli companies who are with us today will also be sharing their solutions and area of possible collaboration with Singapore companies. Do stay with us till the very end of the entire presentation, as we will be bringing you to experience an exciting virtual networking with the rest of the attendees that are here with us today. We hope you will be able to gain valuable takeaways by the end of this session. Before we start the event proper, allow us to share some basic functions of this webinar. The webinar slides will be shared with the participants after the session. A recording of this webinar will also be made available on SGTech YouTube channel few days after the event. At any point of time, if you have any questions, you may use the Q&A function available on the right side of your screen and post in the questions. We will answer to them during the Q&A segment after all the presentations have concluded. By default, all the attendees are muted during the webinar. However, when we move on to the virtual networking at the end of the session, you will be able to switch on your mic and camera to mingle with the rest of the attendees. So without further ado, may we invite our first speaker for today, Mr. Goh Eng Chun, Chairman of SGTech Cybersecurity Chapter, where he will be giving us an introduction to SGTech and the Singapore cybersecurity landscape. Eng Chun, please. Eng Chun?
Can you all hear me?
I can hear now.
Okay. All right, good. So thank you everyone for coming to this event. I think we have a tight program, and I look at the agenda just now. It's about 9 presentations over about 2 hours. So I'll keep this very short. Just a little bit about SGTech. Maybe my name is Goh Eng Chun. So my day job is ST Engineering. Yeah, I know you all heard about the news. But I also the chairman of the Cybersecurity Chapter of SGTech. I'll just run through very quickly two part to my opening address. One is really about SGTech, and then the other one just to show you about the Singapore cybersecurity landscape. So very quickly, once again, thanks for coming to this seminar. Let's go to the next slide, please. All right, okay, so who we are actually, no, sorry, previous slides, I'm sorry. So who we are actually SGTech, and we are a trade association for local tech companies. We have close to about 1,000 corporate members. Can you go back to the previous slides? Yeah, okay, so we have about 900 to 1,000 corporate members, and they range from startup, SME, as well as NMC, and they are all based in Singapore. Next slide. Okay, so we are really the advocate to support the national agenda for technology. We run sessions with various governments to provide feedback, and at the same time, we give suggestions on how to help the industry. Sometimes we digest some of the, we have conversation with the government before they actually announce any policies, and then we actually give feedback before they actually officially announce it. Okay, next slides. Okay, so we are multiple chapters in the, okay, keep it there, yeah. So there are multiple chapters in the chapters. So let me go through some of them. Of course, we have the cybersecurity chapters, we have the cloud and data chapters, we have the digital chapters, the Singapore enterprise chapters, AI and high performance computing chapters, and smart nation. Now the list is not exhaustive because as it goes along, when there are new capability that comes about, and we think that it's important to group people together, like-minded people together, to actually to run certain event, and at the same time to create a think tank to support the government, we will do so. Next slide. So just a little bit about the cybersecurity chapter. This is the chapter that I chair. So a little bit more detail. We actually represent the industry on cybersecurity related issues. Now, as the chapter also represents the industry, we put together seminars on related topics and represent Singapore and SGTech as the voice on industry matters. So some of the recent topics include like the regulatory compliance matters with the GDPR and industry standards such as data protection, trust mark. Additionally, the industry came together also to work with, for example, even MINDEF, Defense Cyber Organization, to learn about how this DCO structure, key trust, and ongoing initiative for potential industry collaboration. And we also form panels in many of the events in order to address some of the issues that's ongoing in the industries. We also enable entry to new market. So one of the chapter objectives is to bring local capability overseas. And we work with event organizer and then bring the local startup actually into the international arena. We also involved in facilitating the talent pipeline. We are grateful to our IHL, the Institute of Higher Learning, such as our Polytechnic and University, and then we work with them to actually educate and create awareness for the student to come on board the cybersecurity profession. And then we also foster collaboration among members, and we have a lot of networking events. So it's not just work, but also fun as well. And we actually create the event together sometimes with the policymaker and together with also some of the customer. Next slide. So you can see, okay, you can see these are the key highlights. So I won't run through every one of them. So these are things that I actually do with our customers. So I'll just jump now very quickly into the Singapore cybersecurity landscape. This is actually took from the CSA document back in 2018. Now I chose 2018 because in between 2018 and now it's only 1 year. But you will find that, next slide please. So this actually shows the threat that's happening in 2018. But if you look at all the number, we have phishing attack, we have DDoS attack, and then cybercrime. And if you look at the number and you look at the type of threat, actually, if you look at 2019, you look at 2020, it's still the same, and it's still happening. So, of course, people will say what went wrong, but actually, it's not. It's just keep coming. It's just that it keep evolving every now and then, and we will see more and more of such threat, and we must find creative and innovative way and to actually address all these threats. And hopefully, in today's event, we can see some of this innovative capability that will come out from the industries. Next slides. So a little bit about the landscape, you'll find that actually there are 4 pillars that they built. One is pillar 1, they actually built a resilient infrastructure. So the first thing they tackle is really look at all they call it the CII, the critical information infrastructure, ensuring that we set in place some policies so that they can safeguard themselves and make sure that they can actually protect themselves. And then of course, the pillar 2 is creating a safer cyberspace. So this is very much targeted to the public, to the schools, to the students, to make sure that of course and we have recent case again, like even working for even their home-based learning, some of the student was being hijacked. Their Zoom are being hijacked by attackers. And then of course we need to develop a vibrant cybersecurity ecosystem. That's why SGTech work very closely with CSA and with some other agencies like IMDA to create the ecosystem to protect not just the public, but SME and the industries. And then, of course, we strengthen international relationships and partnerships. So we CSA is working very closely with all the different governments from different countries to actually create that sharing culture, because cybersecurity is not a local play, but it's actually international and a global play. But all these pillars are not in sequential, it's all happening at the same time since 2018 to now. Next slide, please. So anticipated trend, I think everybody is very familiar. Of course, more frequent data breaches, increased threat to global supply chain, more disruptive attacks against the cloud, because more people going to the cloud, and definitely cloud security become a question that we all are concerned about. Greater risk for smart building and connected system. And if you go a bit further, every city is talking about smart nation. And so these are all the concern about cybersecurity eventually. And then if you ever go to 5G, I think the number of threat actually exponentially increased. And then, of course, we talk about artificial intelligence and double edge as a double edge. Yes, you can have artificial intelligence to solve a problem, but at the same time, artificial intelligence can also be used by the adversary to create more problems for you. So these are the kind of things that we have to balance. And of course, biometric data, which is more valuable to threat actors, is true, because if biometric data, they can actually create greater damage, and hopefully, and these are really scary when you talk about single sign-on. You're talking about biometric access to everything that is secure and that affects your digital life. Next slide. Okay, so that's the end of my slide. A very quick run through, but you'll find that everything that even back to 2 years ago, 5 years ago, is still happening now, and we will continue to face this challenge. And I hope today we get to hear some innovative solution, and we get to actually learn something out of this seminar. Thank you.
Next up, we have Mr. Yoav Seder, Head of Economic and Commercial Mission, Israeli Economic and Trade Mission to Singapore, where he will be sharing with us an overview of Israel's cyber landscape. Yoav, over to you.
Thank you so much, Jezeri. Thank you, SGTech, for co-organizing with us this event. Thank you, Eng Chun, for your interesting presentation. Let me just start with my slides. Second, yeah. Okay. So, like Jezeri said, my name is Yoav. I head the Israeli Economic and Trade Mission here in Singapore. And what we do is to promote collaboration, business collaboration between Israeli and Singaporean companies. And today I'll give you a very quick overview of the Israeli cybersecurity ecosystem. So, you know Israel is a very innovative country. We're #1 in the world when it comes to startups per capita, venture capital per capita, R&D as a percentage of GDP. And I think definitely one of the main sectors of innovation is cybersecurity. And there's not just one reason why the cybersecurity sector in Israel is so vibrant when it comes to innovation. Few elements, and the matter is that it's an ecosystem. And because each of the elements in the ecosystem is strong and works with one another very well and collaborates, that is the reason for the strength. So in this slide, you can see the main elements of the ecosystem. So you can see on the top the Israeli IDF, the military. So think that every year the Israeli military chooses the top talent, 0.1%, and puts them in the elite intelligence units. Many of them do cybersecurity. And then they go through an elaborate training and also practice a lot of cybersecurity in a way, right? They're really hands-on. Israel has to defend itself maybe more than any country in the world, and also to use offense cybersecurity practices. So these guys, after 3 years in the army, get a lot of experience from it. And then it creates a very positive spillover on the academia and on the industry, right? And of course, also academia is quite strong when it comes to cybersecurity. I'll share you soon. And the industry is also very, very vibrant. And each element works together. And the Israeli government is actually funding all of these elements, startups, research, and also the military. So that's why it's sort of in the middle. A bit on the research angle. So 10 years ago, there were barely any researchers of cybersecurity in the Israeli universities. And now we have 6 cybersecurity research centers. You can see them here. It's all the main Israeli universities. And basically, it's hundreds of researchers doing that. And of course, also collaborating with the industry. Israel is actually also a center for most of the big cybersecurity corporates all over the world to do R&D in. So over 40 of them have cybersecurity R&D centers or labs in Israel. And basically they're tapping into the local talent to develop their next solutions and line of products. So yeah, you can see all the big names here, but there are many more. So a little bit about how many cybersecurity technology companies that have a unique solution, not just any company, but those type of companies. As you see in the pie here, there are 421 active cybersecurity innovative technology companies. You can see that another 118 were acquired or merged into the bigger names. And the 213 don't exist anymore. So this is from the past decade. So it's less than a third that has stopped being active, which is quite impressive given the fact that startups, usually between 90 and 90% of them don't make it. So here it's only 1/3. A little bit about the verticals. So here you can see them and the amount of companies in each of them. So you see the biggest one is data protection and security and encryption, 63 companies, followed by identity management and fraud detection with 51 companies. And in this slide, you can see the stage of all of these 400 and something companies. And it's interesting to know that most of them are at initial revenues. And revenue growth, which means like revenue of tens of millions of dollars and more, there aren't that many. So it's sort of emerging now, and it's growing with the fast-growing cybersecurity market of the world. A little bit of capital raising. So 10% of the venture capital invested in cybersecurity is invested in Israeli startups. And the figures are growing very fast, as you can see in this graph. So 2018 was more than $1 billion invested in Israeli startups, and 2019 is 1.6 now, and 2020, the first half only is 1.1, which means more than $2 billion annual rate. Just to explain the value that's being created in Israel in the cybersecurity area, so these are some of the bigger financing rounds. And these are some of the exit in 2019. In 2020, a company called Armis that do cybersecurity for IoT were acquired by Insight Partners for $1.1 billion. Checkmarks, another Israeli cybersecurity company, was sold for more than $1 billion. So the value that's being created, it just grows and grows, and we can definitely see it by these deals. Now, this would be my last slide, and probably the most interesting of all, especially for the audience here from Singapore today. So here you can see the sales activity of these cybersecurity companies from Israel according to the region. So look at North America and look at Asia. And I think the gap between the two areas really represents the opportunity. I think Singapore is extremely well positioned to start working as an Israeli company here in Southeast Asia. And this gap just shows that the potential is very, very, very big. And I hope that today, as a result, especially in the networking part, you'll be able to potentially establish these types of collaborations. So thank you. So like I said, what we do is connect Israeli and Singaporean companies. We can do sourcing of Israeli technology for you as a Singaporean company, and don't hesitate to contact us. We can also arrange B2B meetings. Now we're doing virtual meetings. So we'll be happy also to hear from you guys.
Thank you, Yua, for the interesting sharing. Let's welcome our next speaker, Mr. Aviram Azaba, Executive Director, International Cooperation at Israel National Cyber Directorate. He will be giving us an introduction of Israel National Cyber Directorate and its marketplace activities. Aviram, please.
Yes, hi. I cannot see myself. Okay, see myself. Can you hear me? Just ping me. Okay, I'll assume you can hear me. So, good afternoon to everybody. My name is Aviram Azaba. I'm the Executive Director for International Cooperation for the Israel National Cyber Directorate. The Israeli National Cyber Directorate is the civilian organization that is responsible for the cybersecurity of Israel, overall Israel, from critical infrastructure, government, small, medium business, up to the main industry. It's a huge span of responsibility. And what I would like to do is bring you here to Israel, now in Israel, and to describe a little bit about INCD role in fighting COVID-19. This is an example of an effort that is not in cyber realm. You know, the epidemic is not part of the cyber realm, but the INCD have a very important role in this fighting of the epidemic. So first of all, about Israel right now, what is happening? The borders are almost closed. Hopefully this month we will start opening the borders for people. But now, since Israel is, a political island, we need borders open, mainly sea and air, for goods, for import of goods. But people are almost, there is almost no travel to and from Israel. The population is in the exit strategy. Nowadays, organizations are working from home, but also from the offices. If I would have talked to you 2 months ago, everybody would have been at home. So we are in the exit strategy. Malls are open, cinemas are closed. So we are doing it pace by pace, slowly. Market activity is roughly 80%. Again, a month and a half would have been 30%. And the health sector is under control. We beat the curve, but since we are opening the market, we are seeing the, the curve trying to raise its head, and there is a very balance of enabling the economy to continue, but still containing the epidemic. So we have been in an acute situation. Now we believe we are in a chronic situation that will take months to change. This is the new normal that we are going with for months from now. Next slide, please. So what happened in cyberspace during this time? As we see it, we jumped 15 years into the future in just a matter of weeks. As you know, people are working from home, so organizations had to change the network architecture to enable working from home, to enable bring your own device for the workers to work with, to enable routers to transfer data of the organization. All this is a huge attack surface that is now for organizations. The workforce was decentralized, a lot of teleworking in Israel, a lot of learning, remote learning. Right now at my home, I have a student that is learning in Beersheba University, and my son that is learning at school, but both of them from home. A lot of e-commerce, and we changed our habits. Many people are buying from the internet now. New technologies were incorporated into organizations, but also to hospitals to enable home hospitaling, and for fighting the pandemics, applications that track the movement of patients, so we can know in which with which people they were in proximity. All those new technologies that were incorporated were incorporated in, fielded in 0 time, and we had to make sure that all these were in a secure way. A lot of medical IoT that were implemented, some of them in trial modes, so new technologies that were incorporated of startups. And there is a new change in the balance between privacy and fighting Corona. And all this is a change in what happened in cyberspace in weeks. Next slide, please. So in order to deal with that, the INCD had to move into, as we say it in Hebrew, into a fighting mode. And we did it in various levels. First of all, on the national level. The INCD was declared an essential organization, like the military, like the police, like the health establishment. So we were fully operational, working 24/7. Even when part of us were working from home, everybody worked, either from home or from the offices. And we did shifts in order to contain the pandemic, enable us to have business continuity to secure Israel. Second thing we did is we passed a government decision denoting the cybersecurity industry as a critical sector. Since you change the networks of the organizations, you need the CISO in the organization and not staying at home. You need the service providers and the product providers of cybersecurity working. So all this sector was defined as cybersecurity as a critical sector, and they all continue to work and provide their services and products. A lot of cooperation between INCD and the military, INCD and the health establishment, in order to ensure that the health establishment can do work and we can make sure that they do it in a cyber secure way. A lot of cooperation with the military that was very much involved in helping the health establishment. So a lot of intergovernmental collaboration. Last but not least, there is a pandemic cabinet that is working almost every day, and we are part of this pandemic cabinet. Our role is to make sure that whatever is decided in a cyber secure way. For example, when we launched an application, Hamagen application, that enables every one of us that downloads this application to know if we were in proximity to a patient and self-quarantine ourselves. We have to make sure that both it meets privacy concerns, but also it meets cybersecurity concerns. So, for example, for this application, we made sure it was the source code was published in GitHub, and we got a lot of comments from the public. We had to pen test it. We had to go through the source code and make sure that it is cyber secure before we launch it to the public. Because if it is not cyber secure, then you have a huge attack surface on all our population. So those efforts were done in the national level. Next slide, please. The next level is mainly concerned with critical infrastructure and the health sector. We are securing our critical infrastructure cybersecurity-wise since 2002. And we are putting a lot of effort to make sure that our networks are secure, that our people are aware that it is very difficult to attack our critical infrastructure. But this all can change in a minute if people are starting to work from home in an unsecure way, if changes are made to the configuration, if people are not aware and start pressing links. And our opponents, especially critical infrastructure and government, are the highest opponents, the strongest opponents there are. So we had to make sure that everything we do on the critical infrastructure, we do it in a very tight, secure way, because even for the smallest gap, the opponents will enter and we lose our ability to control what is happening with those very strong opponents. So we put a lot of emphasis on securing our essential, our critical processes, doing risk management together with the organization and making sure that the national interests are taken into account, and especially for people that are working from home, giving services, maintaining systems to make sure that they all do it in a cyber secure way. Second is we put a lot of manpower in cyber securing supply chain for critical processes, whether it's food or the health establishment, like respirators, like coronavirus laboratories. A lot of research is done here on COVID-19, and they are all the time attacked, cybersecurity, through cyber. And we had to make sure that they are cyber secure, enabling the researchers to do their business and find a vaccine for the COVID-19. A lot of effort making sure that our hospitals are cyber secure. By the way, we wouldn't have done a good job if our hospitals were not prepared for it for years. So you don't get into a crisis unprepared. Otherwise, you are in a bad situation. So we were prepared, and we are working with all our sectors on a daily basis for years. Once the epidemic is here, we have to just make sure and tighten all the knobs. All in place, we have just to tighten them, and that's what we did for the hospitals. Last but not least, new applications that were launched, either for home hospitaling or Hamagen, as I said. And our responsibility, the INCD responsibility, was to make sure that all those applications are also cyber secure. Next, please. The third layer is the layer for the overall marketplace. Since people are working from home, since people are consuming things from home, and a lot of commerce is done through the internet, this is a huge attack vector for the opponents. And there were a lot of attacks doing social engineering, COVID-related, stealing money through the internet. So what we had to do is raise the awareness of the population against COVID-related attacks. We scanned the overall Israeli realm to see whether there are breaches that were not configured, or vulnerabilities that were not patched. And for the critical ones, we gave a phone call to the organizations. It can be either a small, medium business, but some of them are supply chain to very important organizations, to make sure that they patch their vulnerabilities and that those suppliers will not be attack vector to essential services or critical infrastructure. A lot of alerts, best practices, recommendations for Zoom conversations. At the beginning, schools were using Zoom in an unsecure way, and this was a major concern for pedophilia and for other attacks on our young students. So a lot of awareness to the whole population. Last but not least, marketplace. We understood that there is a big demand for cybersecurity services and products, but also for the understanding of what is there. And the small, medium business do not have the attention to go and see what they need and where they can buy it. So we opened in our website what we call Cyber Marketplace, which is, as it sounds, a marketplace for cybersecurity products and services. Organizations can publish their product and service, and it is organized according to the different types of products and services, and consumers can come and meet those providers. A lot of products and services that were given for free for this time, or with discounts, or just as a place that everybody can see what there is and use what they need. Next, please. The last thing I would like to mention is about our international cooperation. This pandemic is international, and the interest on our efforts and the interest that we had to understand what is happening in the world and who is doing what was huge. So at the beginning of this pandemic, we had 24/7. It was Zealand to South America, of time zones, of multilateral dialogues and bilateral dialogues with nations and with organizations. First of all, to understand attacks and to share attack information, operational information. Second, to get best practices and to share best practices that level, but also on the organizational level. We had a few countries that we helped in order to mitigate some kind of big attacks that they had, and a lot of MediSec seminars, together with our Ministry of Health and with our hospitals, regarding the medical and the security joint venture that we have in Israel. We have for many years a very strong MediSec ecosystem, and this is something that was interesting for other countries to hear about. So both government and private sector were in those seminars and webinars, and we shared this knowledge. So my last slide says that cybersecurity is an issue of collaboration and cooperation. It is an issue of collaboration within Israel, between the government and the industry, and one cannot do without the other one, with our law enforcement and security establishment, with our regional partners, and with our international partners. And this pandemic was an excellent example of how all this mechanism work within Israel and in the international community to try to fight the pandemic, but also the cyber side of the pandemic together. So thank you very much. Unfortunately, I will not be on the part of the questions and answers, but if there will be something that will not be answered, it will be forwarded to us, and we'll be happy to answer and give you a response. So thank you very much for inviting me to this meeting.
Thank you so much, Aviram. Next, Ms. Li Shihui, Senior Manager at Singapore Israel Industrial R&D Foundation. More about Singapore-Israel collaboration and what are the support and services that are available for companies to tap on. Shihui, please. Shihui, you are muted. We can't hear you. Just give us a while. Shihui, are you there? Please unmute your mic.
Hello. Hi.
Yep, we can hear you now.
So sorry
Thank
about
you.
that. I did unmute
Yeah.
it, but never mind. Let me share my screen there. Thank you,
Thank
Jezeri.
you.
Sorry about that, everyone. So, hi. Good afternoon to those from in Singapore, and good morning to those tuning in from Israel. My name is Sihui, and today I'm here representing the Singapore-Israel Industrial Research and Development Foundation to share with you about funding resources available for your R&D project collaboration. So I'm sure this is a topic of interest to a lot of people. So let me jump straight into my presentation. All right. Sorry, a moment. Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay, is this all right? Yeah. Yeah, so let me get back to my presentation. Right. So sharing a little bit about the foundation, Singapore-Israel Industrial Research and Development. That's a very, very long name, right? So decided to give ourselves a really cool name called CIRD, which stands for SIIRD. CERT was established since 1997 to promote bilateral cooperation between Singapore and Israel in private sector industrial R&D. The current cooperating agencies overseeing CERT are Singapore, Enterprise Singapore, and the Israel Innovation Authority. Both agencies were set up with very similar objectives to help companies in their respective countries grow capability, innovate, and internationalize. Therefore, CERT is able to tap on the extensive network that both agencies have to reach out to the best of the best companies in each country to promote bilateral cooperation. So moving on to how we can help you. By collaborating with like-minded partners, you will be able to create new or enhance existing product and technology. As the saying goes, two heads are better than one. You will also be able to access new markets and customers easily. Why start from scratch when you can count on the existing network and infrastructure that your partner has already had? As mentioned by Yoav just now, Singapore is like the gateway to Asia, whereas Israel is like the gateway to Europe and North America. Last but not least, you will also be able to shorten time to market, which is extremely critical in today's fast-paced world. Other benefit of CERT, we are not like the shark in the reality TV show Shark Tank. Besides sharing your risk from R&D project, we do not take equity in your company or require collateral from you when we co-fund your projects. We also do not share IP rights of developed products or technology. That we leave it to the companies to discuss and agree upon between themselves. So here's how we have helped so far. So to date, we have approved 178 projects, supported the employment of 2,591 research personnel, and facilitated total research investment of $233 million. We certainly would like to grow these numbers more, and so feel free to reach out to us. Here's two ways that CERT can help you. First one is partner search, and the other one is funding support. Let me talk about partner search first. So for companies with R&D interests, you're welcome to visit our website, www.siird.com. Look through the list of companies who have indicated interest to look for R&D partners. Alternatively, you may submit a partner search request form to us. The form will ask for some simple information like your company's profile, the project that you have in mind, your company's role in the project, and the desired profile of your partner. If you do not have a project in mind, that's fine. You can just write that you have capability in certain areas and are looking for opportunities to collaborate on other areas. We strongly encourage companies to submit the partner search request form to us with concise information, as that will help us to find a partner that meets your specific needs. Once we receive your form, the CERT offices in Singapore and Israel will help to locate potential partners for you. If we are unable to find an immediate match, your profile will be listed on our website for others to view and contact you if they see an interest, or for us to contact you if we manage to find a potential match sometime down the road. If you have already found your partner on your own, that's great. You can always approach us to check about the funding resources available for your project. So we have three types of fundings. What type of fundings to apply for depend on the total project cost of you and your partner. So if your total project cost is more than $400,000, then you should apply for the full-scale R&D project grant on the left. The condition is that the project duration should not be more than 2 years, and you must produce a commercializable product or technology, something that you can sell later on. So this will fund you and your partner up to $1 million, or 40 to 50% of the total qualified project cost, whichever is lower. If your project cost is less than $400,000, then the mini R&D project grant is for you. The condition is that the project duration should not be more than 1 year, and you must also produce a commercializable product or technology. This will fund you and your partner up to $200,000, or 50% of the total qualified project cost, whichever is lower. For these two types of grant, we also fund up to $30,000 for commercialization activities. This means marketing activities that you and your partner undertake during the project itself or after the project has ended to promote your developed solutions. Lastly, we have what we call the feasibility study project grant. This is for investigation project to determine the technical feasibility and market acceptance. Yeah, let me. All right, yeah, so this is the last one is feasibility study project grant. This funds up to $30,000 or 50% of the total qualified project cost, whichever it's lower. Okay, so many of you will be curious to know what cost item is eligible to be co-funded under our program. We have direct R&D manpower, software and equipment, expendable materials and supplies, travel between Singapore and Israel, and consultancy and subcontractor services. As I mentioned earlier, joint commercialization activities are only applicable to full-scale and mini R&D projects. Furthermore, CERT is a generous program. We also provide additional 25% on top of your manpower costs to help you cover overheads, as well as 5% additional on top of all your total project costs, cover general and administrative costs. Very nice, right? So moving on to the important part about application criteria. We have 4 minimum application criteria. The first one is a joint, that it has to be a joint submission by a Singapore registered company and an Israel registered companies. Secondly, either company must not have more than 20% shareholding in the partnering company. Thirdly, at least each partner must do 30% of the work in Singapore and Israel respectively. And fourth, technology and product developed must have potential for commercialization. So once you manage to, if you can meet all these criteria, you're welcome to submit a proposal to us, after which it will be subjected to the following evaluation criteria and assessed holistically. So we'll assess the project based on the technical, financial, and commercialization capability of the companies, the synergy between companies, the level of innovation or novelty, as well as the potential for commercialization success of the proposed product or technology. All right, yeah. Right. So here's just sharing some of the projects that we have approved before. We have the first one, just for your reference. We have a project that was developed to detect the presence of unauthorized and authorized cellular device within a secure area. We also have projects to develop a testing and simulation platform to evaluate operational technology environment against cybersecurity attack, as well as one that is to enhance existing mobile app with new AI feature to detect cyberbullying in children's mobile phone. So as you can see, they are all target different customers group and needs. So as long as you have a good idea or solution, you're welcome to find a partner, work on it, and submit your proposal to us to get some kind of funding support. Right. So I would like to emphasize as well that the program is not specific to cybersecurity sector. We're open to all technological sector. So feel free to share this program with your friends from other industries as well. So if you need more information, please visit our website or contact us directly for more information. As mentioned, we have 2 offices. One is in Singapore, where I'm based in, and the other one is in Israel, where my colleague Adi Mello is based in. So feel free to approach either of us. Thank you very much, and take care, everyone. I will hand you back to Jezeri. All right.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So now we will move on to the Israeli cyber innovation sharing. First up, we have Mr. Noam Matthew, Head of Global Sales from Village, to share his solution. Noam, please.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. I will share my screen with you and tell me if you see it, and show you what we do in the next few minutes. Can you see my screen? Guys, can you see my screen?
All good.
Okay, so I will try, as I said before, we will try to take this a few minutes to show you what Relix is up to and what we are focusing on. Like many said before, the Relix was established from veterans from the IDF specializing in database security. And this is what we focus on. And if we try to analyze database security and sensitive data security within databases, we see a lot of challenges in this area. And I will focus on the challenges and the problem, and then we'll try to come to the solution Relix is offering to the area of sensitive data security in database. So what is the first challenge that we are facing? The first challenge we are facing is to need to share sensitive information from our databases. What we see, the collaboration with people before me spoke a little bit about the COVID-19 and everything, but we see the need to share sensitive information is getting bigger all the time. And we see that we need to expose our sensitive data to many, many elements from different sectors. We see that the privacy regulations are developing all the time. They are very, very strict. We see the regulation in Singapore, we see them in Israel, in Europe, in wherever you want, and we keep on seeing that it's developing and being more strict than ever, like I said. We see that the world of databases keeps on changing. I mean, if you talk about 10 years ago or 15 years ago about databases, we talked mainly SQL, Oracle, DB2, of course. But when you talk about databases today, you speak of many types of new, different databases, and the traditional security system handle it with a lot of difficulties. We see the sensitive data keeps on changing and developing. I mean, data is at the heart of the organization. And we see all the time that the organization are putting a lot of investments into securing their perimeter, securing their network and their identity and so on and so forth. But our main assets, our data assets, sensitive assets, sits in our databases. And our databases keep on changing and developing. And the sensitive data goes and actually is found across the organization. And you will find it in many and all data stores around the organization. We are talking a lot about cloud migration. So you see the migration from on-prem to the cloud with hybrid solution in the middle. So you see that the data is actually, the sensitive data is actually found everywhere on the on-prem databases, hybrid, cloud application, and so on and so forth. This complexity of whereabouts is the sensitive data makes the challenges of securing database sensitive data very, very interesting. One of the things that we see a lot is that we need to secure our sensitive data, but we need to do it in a way that the application will be able to use the secure data or masked data. So we need to do it in a way that it will be usable for the application and will be consistent. We are talking about the risk of supply chain. We're talking about sharing information with our suppliers, third-party service provider, third-party development companies, so on and so forth. We cannot encrypt the data because they won't be able to use it. So we still need to find a way to secure the sensitive data and still do it in a way that the application will be able to use it. And of course, keep consistency. So basically what we see is what you see all the time with your clients and our clients. We see a lot of challenges regarding the sharing of information. We see a lot of challenges regarding the regulation. And we see a lot of challenges on where do we find, how do we look for the sensitive data itself. And like a needle in a haystack, and I'm sure we all understand what we mean. If we're talking the current solution, when we come to the typical client, what do we see? How do they solve the problem? Because it is quite obvious there are no vacuums. When we come to potential client or customer, we see that they are doing some things to overcome those problems because they need to be compliant with the regulation. So basically what we see, first of all, we see that most of our clients are running manual database scanning in order to find the sensitive data. We see a combination of semi-automatic and manual, but very, very specific and not very efficient processes based on manual and resources to find and locate sensitive data. We see that sensitive data scanning processes are efficient with standard databases, and the next sentence will be that they are less efficient with less standard databases. So as I said before, if we take in consideration the world of databases, what was valid and efficient 10 and 15 years ago is not valid and efficient anymore. Excuse me. So we are talking about combination of new databases, relational databases, unrelational databases. We're talking about combination of SaaS application databases. So again, the legacy processes of scanning and finding and securing sensitive data doesn't serve our customer right anymore. We see that there are developments in the databases, as we say all the time. What we see a lot of unstructured data inside the databases, and scanning processes cannot find it because they cannot handle unstructured data. So we see a lot of combinations and the development with the database itself, with security processes needs to go along and support this, and the traditional one, the legacy security processes, doesn't. We see a lot of things. We see data and sensitive data being kept in databases in different forms. We see a lot of legacy applications which are changing the sensitive data and adding it numbers or digits because this is how the application works. So you see, for example, an Israeli ID number appears in 3 different forms in 3 different databases or applications. So you see that, again, traditional ways of locating those things are collapsing and not bringing the results. And again, as I said before, the results of the database scanning processes that we see are not very accurate, and there is a very high rate of false positives. One of the things which is making a lot of challenges is the database types that we see all the time within the organization. It makes the problem much more complex. So basically, we are seeing a very specific process with questionable results, and our clients are investing a lot of time and efforts into trying to locate sensitive data and then trying to answer the need to secure it in a consistent way, in a very valuable way, and there are a lot of struggling. So what do we offer? What Brillix offers? Brillix offers simple, secure, and automated way to secure sensitive data. We are trying to do our best to do it, keep it simple. This is our motto, and we are trying to give our clients a very simple system to manage sensitive data within the databases and secure it. So basically, what we can offer is one central system to secure all sensitive data. We are supporting a lot of types of databases, and we keep on developing our support for new databases all the time. We have a rich out-of-the-box sensitive data detection dictionary. We allow our clients to do automation, so the system is able to scan for sensitive data according to predefined configuration, and the client can easily adapt it and change it and localize it to his needs, and then he can run scanning processes automation. We are all about simplicity and automation and security. So we're trying to give our clients the easy localization and adoption, and we are doing it without development, without the need to develop it. Everything is built in the system. Our clients can localize and do his priorities. What is he looking for? What kind of sensitive data? Run automation, scanning his databases, all of his databases, no matter where they are, and then go on.
Hi, Noam. Have to interject you. So can you wrap up in 30 seconds because we have the next presenter coming out. Yeah.
I will do my best. So, JumbleDB produces very accurate scan results to the highly sophisticated mechanism. We have the ability to do verification. Securing the sensitive data in databases is not a one-time project. It is an ongoing project, and our system allows it to do the verification and to make sure you are still compliant with regulation. Ability to secure large databases. We have the ability, we are not afraid of large databases. The way our system operates, that we are totally external to databases, so we are able to manage and secure large databases. And basically, this is what we are giving. We are giving 360 degrees vision and control over sensitive data in all databases from one central management system. And again, the keyword is simplicity. Thank you for, you are all welcome to our room after the session, so we will be able to go over in more in details. And I appreciate the time, and I'm wrapped. Thank you, Jess.
Thank you. Next out, we have Mr. Lord Lamesh, co-founder and CEO of GK8, to share his solution. Leo, please.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining. Let me share a screen for real quick. All right. Can you see the screen? All right. I guess you are. So it's nice to meet you. My name is Leo, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of GK8. GK8 is a cybersecurity company that focuses on blockchain technologies. What we do is we're providing financial institutions, especially banks, with on-premise platform that enabling them to manage blockchain-based digital assets in the most secure way. Our unique value proposition is our ability to create a fully process of creating and sending blockchain transactions without the need for internet connection. A little bit about ourselves and about the team. So we all earned our expertise from the Israeli Prime Minister's office. We're part of an elite team that protected the strategic assets of the country from cybersecurity attacks. Now, our intro to blockchain was very interesting. While 3 years ago, we encountered for the first time in the state-of-the-art solution in the market. When we saw it work, we couldn't understand why people think it's so secure, as we saw something that's connected to the internet constantly. So we tried to buy it, and after 4 days, we managed to hack it. And what we realized is that there are not real cold storage for blockchain-based assets in the market. And the reason is that they are all connected to the internet at some point. Then what we try to do is to understand if could it be optional to make a fully operational process of creating and sending blockchain transactions without the need of internet connectivity at all. And as I said, we ended up doing exactly that. We're backed by one of the founders of Checkpoint, the guys that invented the firewall. It really believed that the approach that we took in order to protect on blockchain assets is the same as they did with the internet back in the 90s. Now, there is a very interesting opportunity right now as the economic wealth is becoming digitalized. Now, the idea is that if so far we used to talk about cryptocurrencies, which this market is about hundreds of billions, as time goes on, more and more traditional asset classes such as securities, real estate, stocks are becoming digitalized. And there's a huge problem right now as the existing infrastructure doesn't really meet the potential risks. And in fact, if we take a look at the past 2 years, billions of dollars were stolen. In 2018, $1 billion was stolen from financial institutions that manage blockchain-based assets. And in 2019, it was more than 4.6 billion. Now it's predicted to be even worse. Eventually, the core tech challenge about how the blockchain works is that blockchain is an interactive protocol that requires bidirectional connectivity. It means that anytime when you want to create a transaction and send it to the blockchain, you need to do before that a bidirectional connectivity where you have to ask for information which is mandatory in the transaction, and then you get it directly from the internet, which include the raw input that potentially can include malicious code, only then you can create a transaction, sign it in a valid way, and sending it back to the blockchain. So anytime when you want to create a valid blockchain transactions, you need to be bidirectionally connected with the internet, which means that you are exposed to cyber attack vectors. Now, as blockchain is irreversible protocol, once somebody possessed your local environment and create a transaction in your behalf, it can steal your money, and there is no way back. That's why hackers are even more incentivized. Now, our solution, unlike that, and this is one of our patents, we have 6 patents, is that we know how to create this information by ourselves internally. We are the only solution that doesn't really need to be connected bidirectionally at any point. We don't need to request for any information. We don't need to take anything from the blockchain or from the internet. We don't use any kind of inbound connectivity. The only thing that we do is use outbound unidirectional communication to send already signed transaction, while the second part of our approach is that we built the rest of the cryptographic protocols around it in order to achieve all of the necessary functionality without compromising security. Now, the platform itself builds of all of the components that banks, hedge funds, exchanges, or even other institutions that interested in managing blockchain-based assets in a very secure way that we actually meet all of their needs, starting of the vault, along with the high-frequency component, which can be connected with the API to any kind of endpoint, which can be or mobile and desktop applications that GK8 provides, or existing business logics that our clients already have, so they can use our backend as security layer, which is some kind of firewall to the blockchain, so you can have all of the functionality that you need in a risk-based approach that, as I explained before, never need to be connected to the internet. Now, our solution is agnostic to the asset class itself, as our innovations are within the cryptography layer. It means that we can support cryptocurrency from the one end, but not only. We can also work with security tokens, real estate tokens, some of the private blockchains that you are integrating, and even more. Now, based on that, there are multiple financial services that our clients can, based on top of that. The most basic one is the custody and the trading applications, which can be plug and play right on our platform, which is very beneficial today at the market. Now, there is a very interesting timing right now as the regulation, also in Singapore, becoming more and more encouraging for blockchain-based assets and for blockchain initiatives. And this kind of solution, which actually solve the cybersecurity concerns, along with providing all of the necessary functionality while we meet the compliance and controls needs, can be something that accelerate the process of existing financial services to integrate blockchain asset classes to the way that they are operating today. We already have clients today globally that managing over 1 billion in digital assets in Europe, in India, in United States, and more. Yeah, that's it. I know I need to do it quickly. So guys, I'm inviting you to join our journey as we bring this much needed security to this rapidly growing market. My team and myself are going to wait for you in the meeting room afterward. You're welcome to ask any questions that you may have. Yeah, that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Leo. We will now like to invite Hill, Regional Sales Director of CySys, to do his sharing. Josh, please.
Thanks, Jezreel. Hi, everyone. I just want to thank SGTech and the Israeli Trade Mission to Singapore for the opportunity to present today in this collaboration forum. And even though there's sort of 50 years of unique history and unique relationship between Israel and Singapore, it's great to see this spirit of collaboration is continuing in this very strange time and difficult time. So it's a tremendous to be involved in this forum. Now, my name's Josh. I represent Asia Pacific and our customers in Singapore and throughout the Southeast Asia. And it's my great pleasure to be able to present CySys in our platform, Pantera. Can you see my screen there, by the way, guys? Jezreel, can you see my screen there? Thumbs up, guys. Present our platform, Pantera, which is the world's first fully automated penetration testing platform. The exciting thing that we see in the industry, and some of what you have actually stepped on earlier, is about the challenges that cybersecurity is actually presenting in the world right now, and also Israel's focus on it. From that triangle was quite amazing, and particularly from the founding story from CySys, it's very relevant to that, and that our founders and our group of founders are from those elite segments of that Israeli Defence Force that you have spoke about earlier. And we have been fortunate enough to be one of the fastest growing organisations, cybersecurity organisations out of Israel and the world over the last sort of 18 months, 24 months. So it's a real pleasure to actually be able to present CySys to you now. So CySys Pantera really focuses on two key questions for any organisation around cybersecurity risk. How resilient are you to cybersecurity attacks, and how do you actually improve your cybersecurity resilience over time while also increasing your returns for your current cybersecurity investments? And that question should be relevant to every organisation, and both partners and organisations in the Singapore market. How do you actually increase your security and actually get returns back on your current investments? Excuse me. And the challenge really is the need to continually and consistently validate those security risks over time and actually improve your security posture with continuous validation of your assumptions around your security and the assumptions around your security control points. Now, Pantera provides continuous validation of cybersecurity controls that really match penetration testing at scale, the power of looking at the network from a hacker's perspective, really examining from an offensive perspective how resilient you are to a cyber attack. Excuse me. Now, the challenge that we see with manual-only penetration testing, now many of your organisations in Singapore are conducted in manual PT. Pantera really looks and answers all those questions around manual PT. Limited scope based on budget, limited scope on time bound. So I can only run it for this amount of time because I have this much budget, and a snapshot in time. Can I run my pen tests once a month, once a quarter, half yearly, or yearly? And CySys really examines those questions and removes them, because imagine running a pen test on demand when you need it, whenever you need it. Now, Pantera really uses real hacker techniques like a real pen tester. We use real attack vectors like a real pen tester and a real attacker. But the question is, how do you do that at scale? How do you cover an entire estate and do that in a way that you can actually get a return rather than actually spending money based on that? And the cyber wish really was Pantera, the automated penetration testing platform. Firstly, we wanted to make it agentless. So really looking at things that were putting a platform in there that was low configuration, low impact from an integration perspective, plug it in, make it work. So no agents installed on any platform, and have it comprehensive. Now, one of the big challenges with pen testing is, can you do it effectively every time across your entire network? Now, based on human pen testing, the questions around scope, time bound, and talent dependent, can you do it comprehensive 24/7? No, you can't. So automated penetration testing really examines the concept of being able to do a penetration test on demand 24/7. And the ability to choose your color of pen testing. Do I want to do automated, or do I want to do a guided penetration test? Now, automated black box. Can I do a pen test across my entire network, regardless of how many IPs, nodes, devices, servers, workstations? Can I cover my entire estate with my pen test whenever I want? Or do I want to do a guided PT where objective based? Am I looking for something specific? Am I looking for credit cards? Am I looking for PCI compliance? Am I looking for my crown jewel data that may be existing in the cloud? And having the choice of being able to automate pen tests to your particular goal. And particularly safe and controlled. One of the big questions around penetration testing and really doing anything in production on a network, on a production network, is, isn't it going to cause an outage? Now, CySys Pantera, our overriding design methodology is to do no harm on any network. Absolutely run this at production time, automate it, have faith in the platform to be able to give you a baseline understanding of your cyber resilience, but without causing any harm. And really no simulation. So don't simulate anything. We really want to test the breachability and stress test the breachability of all your network controls, all your security controls, all your telemetry from workstations to your SIEM, your endpoint to your SIEM. Really stress test everything with minimum false positives. So in vast difference to, say, a vulnerability assessment scanner where you might end up with thousands of vulnerabilities, really find out where you're exploitable rather than what is just a vulnerability. And attach that to a full attack vector. Can we get to domain admin clear text password as an example? How did we get there? What was the vulnerability that we actually exploited to get there? And what were the attack vectors that we actually went through and the attack achievements that we went through to actually get to your clear text domain admin password, which is domain ownership at that point. We own your network. From an attacker's perspective, nothing better. I can get to all your data. I can create accounts. I can do what I want on your network. But how did we actually get there? And back that up with instant reports. So I want to run a pen test tomorrow. Sure, schedule it in. That pen test will run for a day and we'll give you instant reports along with a resilience scorecard that tells you quantifiably how you've improved over time. I'm remediating against my vulnerabilities. I'm remediating against all these things. But do I actually have a quantifiable report that tells me, am I actually improving? Is my resilience actually improving over time? So Cysys Pentera really provides you the ability to run constantly and consistently pen testing from an attacker's perspective that will gauge in real time, from an attacker's view, your resilience to cyber attack. And building a resilience baseline. Now, there's many, many facets to internal infrastructure security, from privileged users to password strength and password hygiene, accessible data. Am I vulnerable to data exfiltration? Having a clear understanding from a baseline where you actually stand is incredibly valuable. And Cysys provides that in spades for every silo that you can imagine within your network, and easily testable, easily remediated, and easily revalidated. And also into the cloud. Now, your crown jewels may exist in AWS or Azure or obviously on-prem, but how confident are you about your resilience up into those spaces? We've got a shared security model up there. We've got firewalls. We've got DLP. But have you actually stress tested that? Jezra, you calling me? Is that the bell?
Yes, correct. So, hi, Josh. I think you need to wrap up in 30 seconds. Thank you.
Now, guys, I'd love to share with you in our virtual networking period a demo of the platform. So if you do join us during the networking segment of this collaboration forum, I'd be happy to run you through a demo from start to finish to show you the power of Pentera to actually cover your entire network and give you an understanding of where you sit from a risk perspective and how you can actually validate your resilience against a cyber attack. Jezra, do you want me to shut down here or you take control?
Hi, Josh. Okay, thank you so much for your sharing. I think later on to find out more. So next up, we will have Mr. Ethan Bramler, Vice President Corporate Development of Safety Data, to do his sharing. Ethan, please.
Hi, Jezra. Thank you very much. Can you hear me okay?
All good.
Can you hear me?
All good.
Okay. Can you see my screen? Jezra, can you see my screen? Just give me a yes.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. Okay, so hi everyone. Again, my name is Ethan Bramler, a co-founder and vice president of corporate development here at Safety. Safety, we're a zero trust access company. We play in the SDP or zero trust network access space. We've been around for quite a long time, and we operate globally, and now working very hard to penetrate the Asia Pac market, which is one of the reasons we're here. The idea is for us to help organizations allow any access from any user to any backend service, but without talking about trust, right? So we want to trust before we grant access rather than later, and we'll talk about this in a second. So if we look at the digital transformation we're seeing today, the world today, with the COVID, this became even stronger because people are now connecting from home. We look at two parallel dimensions. One is where our data is located, right? We have data located on-premise and data located off-premise, in the cloud, in dedicated locations, in private cloud, in public clouds. But more importantly, we have different types of users connecting to our data. We started with corporate employees and remote workers connecting to our data, and we gave them VPNs, right? We trust them, so we gave them trusted tools like a VPN to connect to the network and operate. But then we started opening up to other types of users, third-party vendors and contractors and supply chain, and now other employees who are not used to working remote are now sitting at home and connecting, or IoT devices. And we're giving the same users, now the non-trusted users or the less trusted users, also VPN access to our resources, really enlarging our attack surface. Now, VPNs have been around with us as the main remote access technology for over 20 years. But if we look at the events just in 2020 even, many different attacks on existing VPN solutions, hijacking credentials, bypassing second factors, and using the same VPNs to penetrate our networks. And this is one thing when I control my small number of users working remotely. Now, with a lot of people working from home over their home computers, the attack surface has become insanely big because there's many VPN users who are not really used to work, and their devices are unmanaged, and we don't know where they were browsing yesterday. So what we're offering within this zero trust network access space is a new way to provide remote access, which is fitting the digital transformation, fitting both managed and unmanaged devices, and trusted and untrusted users. On the left is where we are today, right? People using VPNs, which means we're doing access before trust. I launch my VPN client, I connect, I get authenticated, and now I'm in the network with lateral movement. And it's client-based, so I need a managed device, not necessarily a mobile. If there's no mobile device, there's not all VPN clients support two-factor. It's limited, and it's mainly for on-premises services. What we're offering our customers are two options to improve the situation. One is replacing a VPN, either fully replacing a VPN or partially replacing a VPN with our zero trust network access solution, right? If we have time, I'll show you a diagram. If not, you can join us in the virtual room. The idea here, and it's fully software, whether on-premises as a solution or as a cloud service, you choose, but we do access after trust. We ensure trust before access, off-premise, and only then do you get access. But you get access only to the application. You're kept off the network, so there's no lateral movement. It's clientless, so it supports both managed and unmanaged devices, and really designed for cloud and on-premises. If you're very happy, if our customers are very happy with their VPN and they don't want to replace a VPN because everybody are used to work with it, we also know to work with a VPN. So other zero trust network access vendors will probably require customers or enterprises to replace a VPN. We know, and this is unique to us, work with the VPN. So from the end user's perspective, they use their VPN client, they connect the VPN authenticates them, and then we take control. And we route traffic to the applications, ensuring users are off the network and ensuring a zero trust scenario. So we know to work, like I said, both with or without a VPN. And this is kind of a small diagram of what a solution looks like. You see we have three components. The controller, which sits inside, talks to the gateways. The gateways can be on-premise, can be in the cloud. You or our customers control how we work. It's all outbound based, using a patent we have, so there's no inbound firewalling. The entire network surface is closed. We can do user behavioral analysis to determine that even if a user was authenticated, to make sure they're not doing anomalous behaviors. We can support any type of application, any TCP-based application. It could be web applications, RDPs, SSHs, even file shares. We know to expose file shares not over SMB, but over HTTPS. So you can expose access to a file share for a user at home without needing a VPN, without any vulnerable protocols. And again, you can sit with your VPN, without your VPN, whatever suits the customer in order to ensure zero trust access, to authenticate users prior to giving them the access, and only when they're granted access, only to a specific resource they need to access. So we control access to files and applications, right? This is what we do. Full control on all the resources a user has to access, completely clientless or using the VPN client, with understanding user behavior, to predict attacks before they occur, with very good user experience, right? And our customers take full control. How they want to use it, cloud, on-premise, hybrid, with a VPN, without a VPN, all in their hands, again, to ensure zero trust access. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ethan. Now we have our last speaker from the Israeli companies, Solomon, CEO and co-founder of Shield IoT, to present his solution. Udi, please.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. It's great to be part of this great event. Let me just share my screen. One second. Okay. One second. Hello, everyone. So, good afternoon. My name is Udi Solomon, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Shield IoT. Shield IoT, we're an IoT cybersecurity software company. We enable global IoT brands, service providers, and large integrators to secure and manage the security of B2B IoT networks. Working today across multiple IoT B2B domains, including smart cities, smart buildings, healthcare, transportation, and more. The solution is based on over a decade of research done by Professor Feldman, our chief scientist in MIT, providing unique differentiators, including unmatched detection accuracy. In every benchmark for the solution, we were able to have at least 5 times less false alarms, in some cases up to 20 times less false alarms. Critical if we're talking about very large IoT networks with potentially millions of nodes. It's completely agnostic, meaning it's able to secure and monitor any device, any application across almost any protocol. And it's able to scale to millions of nodes today. When we talk about the solution, is a software platform intended to enable to secure any IoT device application or network with no network changes. It's 100% software, no development resources or unique security expertise. When we talk about IoT, we need to understand that it's basically a jungle. We've got countless different devices, applications, protocol. Ultimately, we present this world into 2 main topologies. Either devices connect to the center or to the cloud via a gateway. For example, lighting in cities, for example, HVAC and access control systems in smart buildings. Or devices may connect directly to the cloud, such as connected transportation or cameras over 3G, 4G, SIM connectivity, LoRa, and other networks. The solution, the platform includes 3 main solutions. In the case of a gateway, we provide a gateway security solution. It's a software light agent that is enabled to provide multiple layers of protection for the gateway. It's deployed on third-party gateways. We are the software, providing protection for the kernel, application, data, privacy, sensors, and more, and also acting as a device digital twin, enabling full visibility to metrics, health, logs, alerts, etc. Across the device. We also provide an agentless solution on the right, which is a network anomaly detection. This solution is deployed at the end customer or service provider cloud, analyzing the communication between the devices and the cloud to accurately detect the first signs of unknown cyber attacks and operational events. The solution also includes a centralized management application enabling to take care of the entire security lifecycle management, alerts, policies, threats, updates, etc., built to connect to your existing SIEM/SOC and other solutions, and providing not just the ability to manage large-scale IoT networks, but also providing with required visibility, discovery, and control to take down operational costs. So let's see where this is being used today. So one of the areas we operate today are smart cities, and in smart cities, we see a growing number of attacks. In general, in IoT, we've seen almost a tenfold growth in attacks in the last year. And we see more and more attacks in smart cities where the devices, whether they're lighting, parking, cameras, etc., are actually used because they're poorly protected, they're used to hack the city center and take control of it, of the city cloud, as part of ransomware attacks. And these attacks, of course, can be devastating to key city services and infrastructure. And so city is a great example because we really see the challenges, multiple different applications, multiple different systems connecting over different protocols. And for example, here, Shield IoT, this is one of our customers, the largest lighting service provider in the world. It's selected Shield IoT to secure all its smart city gateways. And the value we provided this large IoT brand was not just providing mass protection at mass scale to protect this brand and his end customers, but they were able to cut their operational costs, cutting R&D costs, a single solution across 12 different product lines, cutting operational expenses, and providing better support and monitoring services with improved visibility. Recently, they also started to provide a security service in order to generate new revenues. And if we're talking about security services, we can take a look at this example. In this case, our customer is the service provider. In this case, it's a telco service provider where the anomaly detection is installed in its cloud. The end customer is a logistics company with close to 2.5 million vehicles, where they deployed simple sensors, humidity, temperature, speed, etc., that connect over SIM cellular connectivity. The telco is now, the service provider is now offering a new service to generate revenues, while the benefit for the end customer is very clear, no network changes, very easy to consume this service, and up and running and getting it from its trusted partner. To summarize, Shield IoT, we're an IoT security solutions. For large integrators, we provide the benefit of a single solution that can be used across multiple different B2B networks. For service providers, you are able to offer a new service in order to generate new revenues. And for large IoT brand, it's not just protecting your mass scale network and brand, but starting to offer improved or new monitoring support and security services. We welcome you to our booth, and thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Udi. Thank you to all our speakers for the insightful sharing and the Israeli companies for the introduction of their solution. We'll now like to move on to the Q&A segment. If you have any questions, you may post them using the Q&A panel, which you can see on the right side of the screen. If your question is directed to any specific organization, do help to indicate them in the questions field. I would now like to invite Mr. Goh Ing-Chun, Chairman of SGTech Cybersecurity Chairman, on stage again, who will be moderating this session. Ing-Chun, please.
I hope you're.
Yes, Ing-Chun, we can hear you. Hi.
Hi, Jess, can you hear me?
You can turn on your camera.
We can hear you, Ancient.
Okay, when I just want to get administration right. So if the question, if I direct to anybody, can they hear? Will they be able to just jump in and answer?
Yeah, you can actually direct the questions to them. They can switch on. The speakers will be able to switch on their mic to answer. Yes, we can hear you very
good.
clear.
Okay, I hope you can hear me. I have one question. Actually, is actually meant for Sihui. Is regarding the cert. I like the name. Okay, first, thank you for a very exciting presentation. Sorry for the time to be very short. Yeah, so I know a lot of you are
No
rushing.
problem.
So let's do this question very quickly. Based on the setup of this cert up to now,
okay.
What maybe you can give us a success story that happened, since the creation of this entity and then till now. Maybe a success story.
Story. Well, we do have not say recent, but a project which both companies collaborate together. And in the end, the Singapore company actually bought some stakes, some shareholdings in the partnering company. So they collaborate together, and the Singapore company see values in the Israeli company, and they decided to buy a stake in the company. So I guess that's a very successful story. Of course, they managed to commercialize the developed product, and they even continue on other kinds of collaboration down the road. So I think that could be taken as one of the very success story. There are others as well. It's just that I mean, in the interest of time, I won't go through everything. But on our website, we do share a list of approved projects there. So people who are interested to find out more information, you can go there and take a look on that. Yeah.
Okay. So on the Q&A board, there's also another question. For funding eligibility, is 1 year sufficient for project to be completed? And then the cross-border project, is that, I think
take more time.
Take more, which is true. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Most of our projects, they are able to complete. There are some that ask for extension. And usually if there's valid reasons given, we wouldn't say no to it. We'll allow for the extension. But the idea of this 1 year and 2 years is to try to promote like ideas or product that are already quite mature. So you just need a collaboration to really be able to speed up the time to market. Because if it's too long, by the time you manage to push out the product, it may not be relevant anymore. So I know there's this added pressure there to try to speed up the development of the project. But in any way, that is something that can be discussed. But as a starting point, would prefer something that is already mature enough. So you just need some match of skills here and there to be able to commercialize it.
Okay, so there's some flexibility to extend if there are valid reasons.
Valid reasons. Yeah, correct.
COVID-19, every project has been delayed by.
Yeah. And we also try to promote travel. So there's this travel element where we try to encourage companies to visit each other face to face to speed up development phase. Yeah. So yeah, that's there. Any other questions? Oh, seems like all the questions are for me. Actually, I don't know how long we have for this Q&A, but for companies that really have questions, very specific questions or so, you're welcome to contact us, and then perhaps I can arrange a call with you guys to go through all the questions that you might have. Yeah.
So maybe just one more view since you're on the line. Is the thing only applicable to cybersecurity R&D related?
No. So we are open to all technological sectors. So they are basically, as long as it's R&D in nature, like you are coming up with something novel, something new, that we are open to all this application, biomedical, whatsoever. That's open as well. So it's not just specific to cybersecurity.
Yeah, and there's one more that says how long does funding approval process take?
Okay, so yeah, it takes, so the projects are we'll have independent reviewer to look through the proposal and to assess it based on the criteria that I mentioned earlier. And then after which the recommendation will be sent to the CERT board of director for approval. So every twice a year, we'll have a board meeting to go through all the submitted projects. So I would say that from the start, like for example, our current call is open from 1st June all the way to 17th August. That's the submission deadline. So by August, we'll close our application and we'll go through the process of evaluation. And that will take some time, and we'll expect the results to be out in about November period. Yeah, but that is also good because in the sense that the company can continue to discuss between themselves, like what to fine tune on, and there will be also some questions that we might pose back to the companies as well. So that's the expected time frame to wait. But every year we will definitely have two calls open for application. So if you miss the current slot, you can probably look around for other partners or to build up a more solid proposals before you submit for the next call for apps.
Okay. So, Sui, thank you very much. There'll be more questions for you. I'm sure later I have to call you back too.
Yeah, I'll be in the room, so anybody who needs to speak with me can find me there. All right. Thank you.
Just jump to the next. Oh, there's a question on for actually INCD, but I believe INCD has left, so maybe we can actually pose the question to them, and then they'll answer. The other one question is actually to the company sizes. Is this just for network infra-based pen test? Does it do apps pen test? I'm sure you can read the question as well.
I can, yeah, thank you.
And then to
that, yes, it is strictly infrastructure pen testing, not applicative pen testing or external pen testing. It's the focus is infrastructure internal pen testing. And do we have CIS's presence in Singapore? I don't have liberty to expose customers anywhere in the world, but I'm happy to discuss that in a private forum.
Okay. So whoever asked the question, if you need to add more, please just write your question down. Anyway, Josh, stay online, please. I want to continue asking you another question.
Sure.
Josh? Yeah.
I'm still here.
So for automated pen tests, how do you mitigate, like, for example, the concern by organization about just launching an automated pen test, where they do not know eventually what's going to happen, how it's going to happen, and would there be any crumbs that is left behind and things that you're not reporting? How do you assure the customer that kind of worry should not be of any concern to them?
It's a great question, and it actually ties back to the Q&A question there around applicative pen testing. CISIS has what we call a 99% equals 0. So we add nothing into the platform unless it's 100% proof, unless we can be assured 100% that it doesn't do any harm. Now, because we deal with real exploits from a pen testing perspective, we deal with, and when I say real exploits, MS-17, Eternal Blue, we inject real payloads into the network to stress test things like endpoints. The question often is, how can you do that safely? And our overriding design methodology for everything, even down to how we do POCs. Now, we do POCs in 1 day. So when we POC or proof of value our product, it's in 1 day, and we do it on production networks. Even across the largest banks in the world, we do that in a single day across production networks. Getting confidence to do that can be, and dispensation to do that can be a little bit difficult. But the one experience we have is that I have faith in my design team that they have a 100% methodology around safety. Now, you can't have an automated pen testing platform or an automated anything to put across your production network unless you have 100% faith in it. And we don't have any capacity or desire or any ability to accept risk across our platform.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, so maybe in the interest of time, because later on we still have the virtual networking. So if any other attendees have to any of the solution provided here, we can actually visit their tables later to find out more. So we will end off the Q&A now. So thank you so much, everyone. Before we proceed to the virtual networking, we would like to share that, let me just share. So we would like to share that for our next Go International webinar, it will be taking place on the 25th of June, and the topic will be Entering China. So for the first of the Entering China series, we will be looking at what are the key considerations for entering China and what are the law and regulations to take note. You can actually scan the QR code to register for the event. And we would also like our attendees to help us complete this short post-webinar survey so that we can create relevant content and to improve for our future sessions. So you can also scan the code or key in the link on the screen to access to the survey form. So before we move on to the virtual networking, right, this is the very interesting part. So just let me orientate you to better understand how this function of the networking works. So later on, when I switch on to the virtual networking mode, you will be able to see something like that is on the screen, like a floor plan with many tables. So the tables are actually labeled with all the Israeli companies' name. So you can actually, if you wish to speak to any of them, right, you just double click on the table to enter into that table. So if there are already 6 people on the table, then the table is full and you will not be able to enter, but you can hop out around those tables that are, there are still empty seats. So we hope these instructions are clear. Once again, thank you everyone for attending today, and we hope that you have gained valuable knowledge from this event. Please continue to stay on and enjoy the virtual networking. So we will have the virtual networking all the way until 5:30. So feel free to network and mingle. Okay, I will switch on to the virtual networking now. Thank you.